All right, so we're taking a deep dive into the world of seismology today and getting you ready to absolutely crush that interview.
You got it using these RoleCatcher guides and interview questions?
Yeah, these resources are awesome.
They really are.
So much good stuff here.
Definitely.
Before we jump into the specific questions, though,
Yeah.
let's just step back for a second and kind of paint a picture for everyone.
Okay.
If you're thinking about a career as a seismologist, just imagine like being a detective,
Mm.
but instead of crimes, you're unraveling the mysteries of the earth.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. And it's so important, too.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about understanding earthquakes, volcanoes, even the structure of the Earth's core. It's all connected to like predicting hazards and keeping people safe.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And the job outlook is looking really good, right?
It is. There's a growing need for people who can analyze all that seismic data and make sense of it.
For sure. So let's get into some of these interview questions that you might encounter. One that always seems to come up is, what inspired you to pursue a career in seismology?
Ah, the passion question. This is where you really get to show your genuine interest and enthusiasm.
So think back. Was there a specific event, a book, a mentor, somebody who really sparked that curiosity about the Earth?
It's great to share a personal story here. Maybe you were fascinated by a documentary as a kid or a college course that just ignited your passion.
You know, whatever it is, just let that enthusiasm shine through.
Exactly.
I'm betting they often follow that up with, what area of seismology are you most interested in?
Oh, for sure. They want to see that you've gone beyond just a general interest.
Right, so this is your chance to get specific, maybe mention a particular research area, like earthquake early warning systems.
Yeah, or the study of plate tectonics.
Um, or maybe you're fascinated by using seismic waves to explore for oil and gas.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it shows you've really thought about different facets of the field.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've shown them you're passionate, you're interested. Now, how do you prove that you're staying up to date?
Right, because it's a field that's constantly evolving.
All the time.
Yeah,
So how do you stay current?
I'm going to ask you that.
Yeah, and this is where you demonstrate that you're committed to lifelong learning.
Okay, so what are some ways to really show that?
Well, you could mention specific journals that you read, like the Bulletin of the Seismological Society of America, or geophysical research letters.
Okay, so show that you're reading the latest research.
Absolutely. And attending conferences is huge, like the annual meeting of the Seismological Society of America or the European Geosciences Union.
So those are some of the big ones in the field.
Yeah, for sure. And don't forget about online communities, too. Maybe you participate in forums or follow prominent seismologists on social media.
Yeah, those can be great resources.
Definitely.
All right, let's get a little bit more technical here.
Okay.
They're probably going to ask you how you analyze and interpret seismic data.
This is where you really showcase those technical skills.
So what are some things you can mention? Well, first off, talk about specific software that you're proficient in, like seismic analysis code, SAC or Antelope.
Okay, good ones.
Yeah. And then explain the analytical methods that you've used, things like waveform modeling or spectral analysis.
It's not just about knowing the tools, right?
Right. It's about knowing how to use them.
You have to understand how to apply them to get those real insights.
Absolutely. And you can give a specific example. Like I used SAC to analyze seismic wave patterns to identify potential fault lines.
Okay.
And then I was able to use that information to assess the seismic hazard of a region and contribute to better building codes.
That's great. It shows you can take that data and make it actionable.
Exactly.
Now, earthquake modeling and prediction, that's a big topic in seismology, right?
Oh, it's huge.
They'll definitely ask you about your experience in that area.
For sure. So be prepared to discuss specific models that you've worked with, like the Coulomb stress transfer model or probabilistic seismic hazard analysis.
Wow, those are some mouthfuls.
They are, but it's important to know them.
But what if you're early in your career and you haven't worked with those specific models yet?
That's okay. Just focus on your understanding of the underlying principles. You can talk about your coursework on earthquake mechanics.
Right, or any relevant projects from your academic experience?
Even discussing research papers you've read on advanced modeling techniques shows that you're actively learning and engaged.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of technical stuff.
Yeah.
But let's talk about something really cool that can help you prepare for all of this.
Okay, what's that?
RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, yeah. This is a game changer.
It is. I love this tool. So one of the things that I find most helpful is how it can analyze job descriptions and suggest specific skills that you should highlight in your answers.
Oh, it's like having a personalized coach in your pocket.
It is. So
Yeah.
for example, let's say a job description emphasizes expertise in ground motion prediction.
Yep.
RoleCatcher's AI will pick up on that.
Wow.
And it might suggest that you talk about your experience with specific ground motion prediction equations or software.
So you're tailoring your answers to that specific job.
Exactly. You're not just giving these generic responses.
I love that.
It's so smart, and the feedback doesn't stop there.
Oh, really?
You can actually practice your answers with video feedback.
Wow.
And the AI will assess your delivery
Cool.
and offer tips for improvement.
So it's like having a mock interview, but with an expert who can really pinpoint what you need to work on.
It's so helpful.
That's amazing.
All right, you ready to tackle some more questions?
I am. Bring them on. So, being able to explain those complex findings clearly is so important,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're working with a team or having to break things down for people who aren't scientists.
Right, communicating those results
Exactly.
in a way that everybody can understand.
Yeah, they're going to ask you about that.
For sure. How do you communicate and present your findings to stakeholders and non-technical audiences?
Okay, so for this one, really focus on, explaining things in simple terms.
Right.
Maybe using visuals or analogies or even real-world examples to illustrate your points.
So instead of saying we observed a high amplitude P wave arrival.
Right, which nobody would understand.
Yeah, you could say something like,
We detected a strong initial signal that indicates a potential earthquake.
there you go, much clearer.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about communication.
Uh-huh.
What about collaboration?
Oh, that's crucial too. Teamwork is key in any scientific field.
Especially seismology.
Yeah, so be prepared for a question like, how do you collaborate with other seismologists and researchers on seismic research projects?
Okay, what are some key things to hit when you're answering this one?
Definitely highlight your teamwork skills. Give specific examples of projects where you've worked with others.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah, talk about the roles you played, what you contributed.
I like it.
And don't forget those soft skills like communication, active listening, conflict resolution, all that good stuff.
Right. Those are essential for any kind of team setting.
Absolutely.
So you're showing them that you can not only do the work,
Right.
but you can also contribute to a really positive team environment.
Exactly.
Now let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
to a question that focuses on a specific application of seismology.
Okay.
What experience do you have with seismic hazard analysis and risk assessment?
This one is all about understanding the real-world implications.
Yeah, how does this science actually affect people and communities?
Right. So you want to talk about projects where you've assessed the potential impact of earthquakes.
So on buildings and infrastructure?
Yeah, maybe you've used probabilistic seismic hazard analysis.
Big words.
I know, but it's important work
It is.
to evaluate risks. Or maybe you've contributed to earthquake-resistant building codes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so anything that shows you understand how to apply this knowledge to real-world problems.
What if you haven't had direct experience with this stuff yet, though?
That's okay. You can still talk about your knowledge of the methodologies and principles.
Okay.
Maybe you've studied different risk assessment models or analyzed case studies of past earthquakes.
So just show that you understand the core concepts.
Yeah, and that you're ready to learn and contribute.
Okay, now I think this next question really separates the seismology enthusiasts from the casual observers.
Oh, really? What is it?
How do you integrate seismic data with other geophysical data to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the Earth's structure and processes?
Okay, so this one's about seeing the big picture.
Right. It's not just about earthquakes in isolation.
Exactly. Seismology connects to so many other fields like geology, geophysics, even oceanography.
Wow.
So how can you demonstrate that holistic approach?
Right.
We'll give specific examples like have you combined seismic data with gravity data, magnetic data, geological mapping?
Oh, cool. So you're bringing all these different pieces of information together?
Yeah. To create a more complete picture, maybe you've used seismic tomography to image the Earth's mantle.
Or study the relationship between seismic activity and volcanoes.
Exactly. It's all about showing that you understand the Earth as this complex dynamic system.
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is.
Okay, so, we talked about those tricky behavioral questions.
Yeah.
Those come up in seismology interviews, too.
Of course they do.
So be ready for something like, tell me about a time you faced a challenge at work and how you overcame it.
That classic problem-solving question.
Right, so what kind of challenge would be relevant for a seismologist?
Well, it doesn't have to be a major earthquake or anything.
Okay.
It could be anything that required you to think critically and find a solution. Maybe you encountered unexpected data anomalies while you were analyzing seismic readings.
Oh, that would be a challenge.
Or maybe you had to troubleshoot faulty equipment out in the field.
Yeah, those things happen.
Or maybe you faced a tight deadline for completing a really complex analysis.
Okay, so how would you structure your answer to a question like that?
Well, first, just clearly describe the challenge.
Right, given the context.
Exactly. Then detail the steps you took to address it. Highlight your analytical thinking, your problem-solving skills.
And how you maybe collaborated with others to find that solution.
Yeah, and don't forget to share the outcome.
Oh, right. Did you succeed?
What did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, showing what you learned is really important.
It demonstrates growth and that commitment to continuous improvement.
Okay, so we talked about technical skills, communication, problem solving. Now let's get into some of those questions that really dig a little deeper into your personality and work style.
Okay.
What about strengths and weaknesses?
Yes, those can be tough.
They can. But remember, the interviewers are trying to understand how you see yourself and how you might fit within their team.
That's a good point.
So let's start with strengths.
Okay.
What are some strengths that are really valuable for a seismologist?
Well, think back to all the skills we've been talking about: analytical thinking, attention to detail, problem-solving, communication, collaboration.
Right, those are all super important.
Yeah, choose a few that resonate with you and give specific examples.
So instead of just saying, like, I'm a hard worker, you could say,
I have a really strong analytical mind, and I'm very meticulous with data analysis.
much better.
Yeah, and then you could add something like, in my previous research project, I was responsible for processing a large data set of seismic readings, and I was able to identify these subtle patterns that led to a more accurate assessment of the region's seismic hazard.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the tough one, weaknesses.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has them.
Right.
But how do you talk about them?
Well, the key is to choose a weakness that isn't a deal breaker.
Yeah.
And frame it as an area for growth.
Okay.
For example, you could say, I sometimes get so focused on the technical details that I can overlook the bigger picture. But to address this, I've been consciously working on improving my communication skills, making sure I'm checking in with my team regularly and explaining my findings clearly.
I like that.
Yeah, it shows self-awareness, a willingness to learn, and that proactive approach.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful for these types of questions, too.
Oh, absolutely.
It can analyze your practice answers and give you feedback on how to frame your strengths and weaknesses.
So you're aligning them with what this specific job actually requires.
Exactly. And don't forget about the delivery.
Right, how you're presenting yourself.
The AI can give you feedback on that, too.
That's so helpful.
It is.
Wow.
Okay, before we move on to part 3,
Okay.
let's talk about the dreaded salary question.
Oh, yeah, that one always comes up.
It does, and it can catch people off guard.
For sure.
So how do you handle it?
Well, first, do your research.
Okay.
Find out what typical salaries are for seismologists.
So in your area,
Yeah, and at your experience level.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide is really helpful for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It breaks down salaries for different career stages and regions.
So once you have a salary range in mind, how do you phrase your answer?
Be confident, be clear. You can say something like, based on my experience and qualifications, I'm seeking a salary in the range of.
And then give your range.
Exactly. Or you could say, I'm looking for a salary that's competitive with the market rate for someone with my skills and experience.
That sounds so much better than like stumbling through a vague answer or,
Right. Or undervaluing yourself.
Yes, exactly.
It's a negotiation. You deserve to be compensated fairly.
Okay, we've covered a lot in this part.
We have
From behavioral questions to salary negotiations.
lots of good stuff.
Are you ready for the final stretch?
I'm bring on part 3. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into prepping for your seismologist interview.
I'm excited to get into these last-minute tips.
Yeah, we got some good stuff here.
So beyond just having the technical skills, what are some things that really make a candidate stand out in an interview?
Well, one thing that always impresses me is when someone demonstrates a genuine passion for seismology.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing the facts.
Right, it's about conveying that enthusiasm.
That excitement.
Yeah, like you're really fascinated by this field.
So how can you show that during an interview?
Well, you can talk about what truly excites you about seismology.
Right.
Maybe it's the challenge of predicting earthquakes.
Oh, yeah.
Or the potential to mitigate those risks.
Right.
Or maybe it's just the thrill of discovering new knowledge about how our planet works.
It's really cool stuff.
It is. And when you're passionate about it, that comes across.
Definitely. What else should candidates keep in mind?
Asking thoughtful questions is another way to make a good impression.
Oh, yeah. It shows you've done your homework.
Exactly. So instead of just saying, no, I think you covered everything,
Right.
you can ask something insightful like, what are some of the most exciting projects your team is working on right now?
Oh, I like that.
Or how does this role contribute to the organization's overall mission?
Big old man.
You could even ask about their approach to professional development or the technologies they use.
So it shows you're really thinking ahead.
Exactly, and that you're genuinely interested in the opportunity.
Okay, so we've talked about passion. We've
Yeah.
talked about asking good questions.
Uh-huh.
What about body language?
Oh, even in a virtual interview, those nonverbal cues are important.
They really are.
So maintain good eye contact.
Sit up straight
Project confidence.
and smile.
Yeah, it goes a long way in making you appear approachable and enthusiastic.
Now, I know we've talked about this before,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to emphasize again the importance of practice,
Oh, yeah, practice, practice, practice.
especially for a seismology interview, right?
Absolutely. The more you practice your answers, the more confident and articulate you'll sound.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be so helpful for that.
Oh, it's amazing. You can record yourself answering practice questions and get personalized feedback on your delivery, your content, even your body language.
It's like having a virtual interview coach right there with you.
It really is.
Okay, speaking of practice, there's one question you should always be prepared for. Do you have any questions for us?
Oh, yes, the classic ending.
This is your chance to turn the tables and get some valuable insights.
Yeah, so don't just say, nope, I think you've covered it all.
Right.
Use this opportunity to ask about the team's research priorities, the opportunities for growth, or the organization's culture and values.
It shows you're thinking beyond just the job description.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot today,
We have.
from showcasing your passion to mastering the art of asking insightful questions.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
Before we wrap up, though, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future of seismology.
Oh, it's an exciting time to be in this field.
It really is. What are some of the most exciting advancements on the horizon?
Well, one area that's really pushing the boundaries is the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning
Oh, wow.
to analyze those massive data sets of seismic data.
So we're talking about using algorithms to detect patterns.
Yeah, and improve earthquake forecasting and even develop early warning systems.
That's incredible.
It's really amazing the potential that AI has.
What about the role of seismology in addressing global challenges like climate change?
Yeah, seismology is becoming crucial in understanding the impact of climate change on the Earth.
Okay.
By studying things like changes in glacier movement, the melting of permafrost, variations in sea level.
We can really start to see how climate change is impacting our planet.
Exactly, it's all connected.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is.
And as we face more and more challenges related to natural hazards, climate change, sustainable development.
The skills and insights of seismologists are going to be even more important.
Absolutely. Okay. I think we've armed our listeners with some really powerful tools and tips.
I hope so.
Before we say goodbye, though, what's one final piece of advice you would give someone preparing for a seismologist interview?
Remember, this is more than just a job interview. It's a chance to be part of something bigger, to contribute to a field that has the potential to shape our understanding of the Earth and really make a difference in people's lives.
That's inspiring.
So go out there, show your passion, your curiosity, your commitment, and rock that interview.
We're confident you'll make fantastic seismologists.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher is there to help you every step of the way.
Use those resources, refine your answers, practice your delivery, and walk into that interview feeling confident and prepared. Best of luck.
Best of luck to everyone out there.